Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I put a video up, but I thought that it would be useful to put one up about the upcoming Year 6 SATs. So this video is all about information for parents and children on the Year 6 SATs 2024. What are the SATs? Well, the SATs are the end of Key Stage 2 assessments. Key Stage 2 is Years 3 up to 6. And at the end of the Year 6, when children are leaving primary school, going into secondary school, they will complete their Year 6 SATs tests. This year, the SATs tests are between Monday the 13th of May 2024 and Thursday the 16th of May. Last year, they were a day late because of the King's coronation, but they usually go from Monday to Thursday, and there's no SATs tests on the Friday of that week. They're broken down into grammar, punctuation, spelling, reading and maths. There is no writing test during SATs week. The children's writing is assessed by their teachers, and that's throughout the year on a number of different pieces. So the grammar paper and spelling papers will be on Monday, the 13th of May. The reading paper will be on the Tuesday. Maths papers 1 and 2 will be Wednesday, and the final maths paper will be on the Thursday. How are they carried out? Well, they're during normal school hours. The children don't have to come into school any different times, so they should just take place during a normal school week. Obviously, the children are not allowed to talk to each other, and the papers are not marked by the school or the teachers in school. They are sent away to be marked externally by SATs markers. And the results are sent back to the school at some point during July. So normally what schools tend to do is they will get the results back from the external marking, and they can query any marks and see if any of the papers have been marked inaccurately and send them back. And when they're happy with them, that's when you will get the final marks of the SATs to parents, and it usually comes around the same time as the end of school report. So the grammar paper is 45 minutes. The spelling paper is 15, although it's not timed really. 15 minutes is just a guideline. All the other tests are timed. The reading paper is 60 minutes. Maths paper 1 is 30 minutes. Maths paper 2 is 40, and maths paper 3 is 40. Specific arrangements. So speak to your schools about this. If your child has a particular need, if they have what's called an EHC plan, they've got a special educational need, or they might have difficulty reading, or they might have a particular need with their writing, their handwriting might be quite poor, and that might be linked to that need, then children can qualify for specific arrangements. These can be things like extra time, more time to complete their tests. It could be an adult reading it to them, an adult scribing, which means writing for them, or transcribe, which means they look at the test and write and can write any answers that children have written unclearly. Obviously, extra rest breaks and things like that. So the school can apply for additional arrangements, and they will be doing that the first week back after half term. So do ask your school if your child is qualifying for any specific arrangements. What results are reported? So results are reported, and the children are given what's called a raw score, which is how many marks they achieved on each paper. And this then translates into what's called a scaled score, which I'll explain in a minute, and whether they've met the national standard in those tests. So, like I said, the tests are sent away to be marked by an external marker, which is why it's so important for the children to write clearly, writing their letters and numbers clearly, because they're not marked by somebody that knows them in school. And what will happen is they'll get a scaled score. And normally a scaled score, of 100 would mean that they've met the national standard. Anything over 110, so 110 to 120, would be that they're over the national standard, and they can be given a score of what's called greater depth. So here's an example of how they would be worked out. Now, this is for the reading paper, and the teachers would be given a table something like this. And for the markers, they'll mark their papers, and the reason that the pass mark can change is because once all the papers have been marked nationally, if children have done really well nationally, that can bring the pass mark up. But if children have done not so well and the paper was quite difficult, that can bring the pass mark down. So here you can see, I think this is last year's pass mark. So where it says 100 on scaled score, that's how many marks in the paper they would have need to get to achieve that 100 scale score pass mark, okay? So last year, the children needed 24. Now, the reading paper's out of 50, so it's around half marks, and it usually tends to be 24, 25, 26. It has been all the way up to 28 on previous papers, depending on how tricky the paper is. But yeah, you're looking at that kind of area. And then if we look at 110, so if they get over 38 marks, then they're looking at a greater depth score for reading. This is maths, and there's quite much more numbers here, and that's because they're doing 3 papers, and they add all of those 3 papers together to get a raw score, which then again translates to a scale score. So here you can see the lowest raw score you could have had to achieve 100, which is the scale score pass mark, was 56. That's across 3 papers, don't forget. So adding the scores of 3 papers up, they would need to get a mark of 56 and above to get a pass mark. And then if we look for 110, it would have to be about 94 across the 3 papers added together to get that greater depth score. Grammar, so this is the grammar test. Again, this is when they add the spelling score and grammar score together. Here you can see that they would have needed to score around 36 to score a pass mark. A scale score of 100 would have been the lowest they would have been needed. And then over here you can see 56 is what was needed to, 55 was what was needed when you add the grammar and spelling together to get a greater depth score. So that just gives you an idea of how those pass marks are worked out. So a little bit more information about each paper. So like I said, the first grammar paper will be on 13th of May. On Monday, it'll be the first paper they do. It lasts 45 minutes and it's worth 50 marks. And this will cover grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Paper 2 is specifically just a spelling paper. They'll do this also on the Monday. It's 15 minutes long and the children are tested on their spelling only. This is what the spelling test would look like. The teacher would get a script like this and and the children would receive this part here where they've got a sentence and a space missing for them to put the word in. 20 questions. For example, the teacher would read, "There was a lamb in the field." The word is lamb. And the children would need to write lamb in this space here. "I kept in touch with my old friends when we moved." The word is touch. They would need to write touch in the space there. So that's what the spelling test looks like and what would happen. Children wouldn't see this bit. This would be for the teachers to read out. They would write the words in these blank spaces here, and it will be 20 questions. These are the types of spellings that they might be tested on. You can get these online. These are what's called the Year 5 and 6 statutory spelling words, and not all the spellings will be from this list, but if your child knows how to spell a good amount of these, it will help them prepare for that test. These can be found online. Search for Year 5 and 6 common exception words or statutory spelling words. Grammar paper then. So these are questions from the grammar paper. 50 marks, 45 minutes to do it. Each question is worth 1 mark and it's testing the children's grammar, punctuation. Questions could look like this. Which sentence is a command? And they would need to select one. In this case, it's run as fast as you can because you've got that bossy imperative verb there and it's a bossy sentence. You can have questions like this where they're joining the root word to the suffix. So it's literally joining these up. Socialize, relationship, childish, seasonal. And you could have questions like this where they're being asked to insert the correct punctuation. Insert a comma in the correct place. We will be planting seeds, comma, making a pond and looking for snails. Not just commas, could be capital letters, full stop, semicolons, parentheses, dashes, all of those types of punctuation. Questions like this where they're asked to circle the words which standard English. Now, standard English, as I say to the children, is when you read it, it just makes sense. It could be that they need to select the correct verb. So the autumn leaves were crunching beneath our feet, circling were here because you've got leaves, which is plural. We done or did, we did a great job. Past tense of done is did, so we need to circle that. My brother didn't do anything to help us. My brother didn't do nothing to help us. it would be anything in this case here. So those are types of questions. Number 6, which pair of words are antonyms? Antonyms are 2 words that have opposite meanings. Synonyms are 2 words that have the same meanings. So in this case, which of these, and it says tick 1, they have to be very careful they don't tick 2. So of these words, proper and improper have opposite meanings, so you would tick that one. Just a quick word before I go on to reading. On our YouTube channel, you'll be able to find a full walkthrough of last year's grammar paper. So if you do want to go through each individual question, you can find that on our channel, along with the reading and arithmetic papers as well. So just search for those. Reading then. So the reading is going to happen on the Tuesday. This can be one of the hardest tests because the children only have 60 minutes to do it. And there are 3 texts to read in that time. So this one here, you can see at the bottom, 3 different papers, 3 sets of questions. So when you divide that up equally, it's about 20 minutes on each one. The questions can be multiple choice, 1-word answers, and sometimes more lengthy answers. Just to note that obviously the reading paper is testing the children's ability to answer lots of different types of reading questions, including word meaning, retrieval, inference, and others. But these 3 are the 3 ones that come up the most. So if your child can answer word meaning questions, retrieval questions, and are fairly good on inference questions, then they stand a really good chance of passing, because 20% of the marks were word meaning questions, over a quarter, so 25% of the marks, were retrieval style questions, and almost half of the marks were questions requiring the children to make inferences. Okay, so when reading with your child at home or doing some revision, can they answer these types of questions? Really important. So retrieval. These are a couple of examples of retrieval questions. Again, these are worth around 25%. Over a quarter of the marks are retrieval. Who knocked on the door? It's just asking them to go into the text and find the name of a person. Where was the tournament being held? Again, just going into the text and finding the answer. It should be there for them to find. Word meaning. So these are about 20% of the paper, and these are all about asking the children if they can identify words that mean certain things. They usually start with the phrase find and copy 1, find and copy 2. So find and copy one word that shows that Yuri was not very careful when he put Veronica's bag down. In the text, it was the word dumped. So they would have had to put that word dumped on that line. If they write more than one word, they might get the answer wrong because it specifically says one word, and the marker who marks the papers wouldn't know whether to pick that one or the other one they'd written. So just make sure that they know they're writing one word down only. Yes. Find and copy 2 other words from the paragraph, which means the same as quick. So you could have had fast, and I think there was another one which meant, I think it was swift or something like that. But they would need 2 different words. If they write the same word twice here, they'd only get 1 mark, and that's a 2-mark question. Inference. This is just one example of an inference question. If you want more help on inference, there are more videos on the channel about inference, and also a full walkthrough of last year's reading paper and the one before that. So please check it out. But an inference question is asking the child to justify their thoughts about a text and use evidence from the text. And it's usually about characters' feelings. How do you know a character feels this way? It might say that, it won't say in the text the character was sad, but it might say the character was huddled in a corner with their head in their hands. And those clues tell us that the character was feeling upset. Inference is tricky. This is a 3-mark inference question. Now, to get the 3 marks, they would need to make 2 points and justify 1 point with evidence from the text. Like I said, go into the channel and you'll find more videos on inference and full walkthroughs of the reading papers. So the maths papers, the first one will be on Wednesday the 15th of May, and it'll be your arithmetic paper. 30 minutes on this paper, so quite short, but a total of 40 marks. And the children will need to be able to answer questions on addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, decimals, fractions, percentages, BIDMAS or BODMAS. So lots of different types of questions, but it's an easy one to score high on. And we would expect our children in school to be scoring as many marks as possible. You can score 40 marks, and if they get 30 and above, it really helps them to score well in maths overall. And the reason is this. If I go back to this table here, which I showed you at the beginning of the video, remember the pass mark, 56? Well, let's say they score 40 marks on the arithmetic, they get full marks. That means that they only need 16 marks from the other two papers they do. That's only 8 marks on each one of those, and they're out of 35. So if the child can score really well on arithmetic, between 30 and 40 or in the high 30s, then it really helps them going into those other two papers, only needing 8 marks from the other two. Okay, so we really try to help the children with arithmetic as much as possible, and I'll show you a really good tool you can use to help them. Paper 2, so this is the first reasoning paper, will be also on Wednesday the 15th, and the other reasoning paper will be on Thursday. Both these reading papers are 40 minutes, and they are 35 marks each. The reasoning papers are a bit trickier, though, because the children have to demonstrate answering a wide range of questions. These could be some examples here. This one is about measurement, a worded problem about grams and kilograms. This is a worded problem about fractions. You've got here a pictogram type of question. You could have bar charts, line graphs. This is a very familiar question on the reasoning papers, a bit of information, and it's usually a multi-step question where the children have to do two things, add and subtract or multiply and add, and they're usually worth about 2 marks. Other types of questions will be shape questions and angles. So I don't want to go into too much detail about these questions, but if you go onto our channel, you'll find full walkthroughs of old reasoning papers and how to answer some of those questions. Other things you can do to help, CGP books are really good. You can get these on Amazon or directly through the CGP website. They have all the topics covered, Key Stage 2 and explanations and examples of questions. They have them for grammar, punctuation, spelling as well. Here are some websites which are really useful for you to use as a parent with your child. This My Mini Maths used to be free, is now subscription based. You've got BBC Bitesize, obviously. This one here, Top Marks. You'll find resources, examples of questions, things you can print out to help from these websites. But the one I want to show you is this bottom one here, which is called MathsBot. Now, the reason I like this is it's a new website. It's using AI. It's one of these new AI websites, but it really, particularly with the arithmetic. So if you remember, I said you can really help your child with the maths if they can score high in arithmetic. Well, you'll find arithmetic papers here. So Key Stage 2 arithmetic papers that you can print out and generate. It'll generate them for you. I just click on this one here. So it's got 36 questions. Okay, you can let your child have a go at those. It will mark it for you if you want to do it on the computer. It will put the answers in for you. You can print it. And if you press new, it will generate another one and another one and another one. So really useful tool. Get your child practicing those. And also you've got these Arithmetic Compact, which is just a little bit different in format. But what's really good about this is, again, you've got your 36 questions. Now, let's say your child can do the addition. They can do the subtraction. They can do the division. They can do the multiplication. But let's say they're struggling with, I don't know, dividing fractions. So green that one. Maybe they're struggling with percentages. You can then press new, and it'll give you just those types of questions that they can practice. So a really great website. So just to say thanks for watching and tuning into our channel again. I hope you found this video useful. Like I said, please subscribe to the channel for more information on primary education as we run up to the SATs at the end of Year 6. Check our channel out for more videos and walkthroughs of all the papers. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.